In today's video, I want to share an experience that I had in trying to take these spiritual exercise classes at St. Peter's Chanel in Hawaiian Gardens. So one thing that I've noticed, and maybe you guys will notice as well, is that when you try to get closer to God, there are many obstacles that come in the way to prevent you from doing so. And those obstacles are part of the spiritual warfare, and it's the work of the devil and his minions and his evil spirits to ultimately prevent you from getting closer to God. So here we go. So the class that my wife and I, along with my mother-in-law, we were going to take started at 1 o'clock on a Saturday afternoon at the time. And so right like an hour before the class started, looking back is when the spiritual warfare, the spiritual attacks, where the enemy presented himself. And so around 12 o'clock, my wife decides to take, or asks me to take her and my family to Old Navy. And so I'm thinking, all right, well, Old Navy is not that far from the church, and it's not that far from my mother-in-law's house, so we have about an hour. Let's go. And so we get to Old Navy. We're walking around. My wife knows the time frame that we have to get to the class on time. And so she's looking for something, and she finds something. And she talks to somebody, and she wants to purchase this dress. And the cashier says, oh, we can actually get this shipped out to you because they don't actually have it in the store. And in my head, I'm like, okay, that's going to take a little longer, but we have time. Let's do it. And so we get to the front, and this cashier is asking my wife for all this information. And so I'm like, okay, well, you know what you want. This is what we do, what we need to do to get it done. I can stay here and give credit card information and email addresses, whatever they need. Maybe you can just take the kids to the car, get them ready, so that way we can just go ahead and go to her mom's house, drop off the kids, and then go to the church. And so my wife was like, okay, we can do that. So she takes the kids to the car, and I'm paying, or I'm trying to organize what's going on with this item my wife wants to purchase. And then this man says, we're gonna need to call some supervisor because we need to get approval for something. And I'm like, that doesn't make sense. I mean, okay, sure, you can go ahead and do it, but I let him know that I kind of need to be somewhere, so how about I just give you my email address and my phone number, and then maybe you can just call me and let me know when everything is done with. And he said, sir, we can't do that. It's our policy to just make this transaction now. So I said, okay, fine. And as I finished saying that, or as we finished talking, everything kind of went through. So, okay, now we're leaving the store. We're going to my mother-in-law's house to drop off the kids. And then we get there, and then I get a call from, I think it was my mom. And my mom was telling me that I needed to go visit my sister, who just happens to live down the street from my mother-in-law. And my mom was telling me, oh, you need to go and see her because there's something going on at her house, and I think you really need to be there to kind of help her out. And my mom was like, I don't know what's happening over there, but I'm on my way too, so maybe you can go too. And so I'm thinking, oh man, what's going on? Like I can't go there, but she's my sister. I need to go help her out. And so I'm like thinking, I don't know if I could do this. So I just told my mom, I gotta go somewhere. I'm going to this church with my wife and my mother-in-law, and we'll see what happens. And so as we're leaving my mother-in-law's house, and I drop off the kids, so my mother-in-law and my wife and I are in the car, and in my head I'm like, I think I want to swing by and see what's going on at my sister's house. But then I got this feeling, I think it's about 12:30 now, and the class starts at 1 o'clock. And I'm like, if I swing by, or if we swing by the house, I'm going to get sucked in, and we are not going to be able to make it to this class on time. And this class is supposedly supposed to help us get closer to Jesus. And I had no idea what it was about. It was our first time taking it. And yeah, it was going to bring us closer to Jesus. So I already had my heart, and my desire was to take it. And so as we're driving, I'm like, I don't want to swing by. It's probably like 3 or 4 blocks away. And I'm like, I don't want to swing by because I know that something's going to happen and we're just going to miss the class. And so I tell my wife the thoughts that I'm thinking, and then she's like, okay, well, let's just go. Let's just go to the class. And so I already got over the idea of stopping by my sister's house. And right before I get on the freeway, I get a call from my niece, her daughter. And my niece says, you need to come here, or you need to go there because something's happening. And I'm like, oh, great. Now my niece is being used to try to pull me away from going to this class. And I know it's kind of crazy to think that, but in retrospect, the devil, not saying that my niece, my sister, or my mom are the devil, but the devil and the evil spirits were just really trying to prevent and put up an obstacle to prevent myself, my wife, and my mother-in-law from going to this class. And so I was on the phone with my niece, and I was just telling her, you know what, there's really nothing that I could do. They know what's going on. There's some issues that need to be dealt with, and I think all that you can do is really just pray. Just pray for your mom, and pray that God kind of help her through what's going on at this current time. And I felt so bad because I really wanted to be there, but then I was like, but I really want to go to this class more. And so we get on the freeway, and I just tell my niece, just pray for your mom, and God's going to take care of the situation. And so as we're driving on the freeway, I think either I called my sister or my sister called me, but either way, I got in contact with her, and I was just talking to her on my drive to this church. And I'm just saying, like, I'm sorry, but I can't. There's nothing that I could do. And I was just trying to calm her down and trying to just, in a way, be there for her, but not physically being there for her. I mean, there's nothing that I could do other than just pray for her. And so after being on the phone with her, we exited the freeway and we're pulling up to the church. And at this point, like, my mind and my heart is just all confused. It's all jumbled up. It's just very, like, I feel very drained, and I'm about to jump into this class in like 10 minutes. And I just thought, I can't do this. I can't do this. And I remember just looking over at my wife and just telling her, you know what? I need to just turn off my phone because I don't want to be bothered. And I think this class was probably about like an hour, 2 hours, maybe even 3 hours long. And I was like, I need to turn my phone off. And then my wife was like, yeah, go for it. And so I turned it off. And then I don't know if it was before the class or after the class, but looking back, what also was happening that day, I had a cousin who was coming to the house who was going to drop off his car because him and his wife were going to be gone for some time, and we weren't going to be home for that. So I totally missed that. And then I also remember that it was a friend of ours, his kid's birthday was going on that same day and time, and I totally forgot about that. And so I went to the class, and then the class was it was amazing. for those of you that are in the area and that can attend, or maybe even watch online, it's the spiritual exercise classes of Saint Ignatius of Loyola, given by Father Ed Broom. And I think classes are in session outdoors, or they're either offered online at his website or YouTube channel, Father Ed Broom. Just look him up. But after the class was done, like, I just felt so much peace, and I turned on my phone, and you know what happened when I turned on my phone? Nothing. There was no voicemails, there was no text. Like, everything was okay. Like, nobody killed anybody, nobody was hurt, like, everything was fine. And it kind of just goes to show, well, looking back at the situation, from 12 o'clock to right before the class started, there were all these obstacles that came up that would prevent me from going to the class. And not only would it have prevented me from getting closer to God, but it would have prevented my wife and my mother-in-law. So they were trying to work really, really hard to prevent us from doing so. But I stayed focused, realized that, there's 2 other people in this car that want to get closer to Jesus too, and that's where we're going to be. And you know what? God took care of the rest. And I just remember after that class, I was just so relieved, like, oh, thanks be to God, everything worked out, everybody is good, there's no issues. And I called my cousin to apologize that I couldn't be at my house for him to drop off his car, but he totally understood. And then I never really heard back from my friend, or heard from my friend whose kid was having a birthday party that day. And so it was all good. And my sister is doing fine. Her kids are fine. And yeah. So I share this to give you guys hope and to remind you that when you are trying to get closer to God, to Jesus, that there are going to be obstacles in the way. And we have to remember, we have to stay focused on that relationship with God. We have to stay focused on Jesus. Otherwise, we'll get sucked into the distractions, and we'll just keep on that circle, just like, oh, I can't go to church because I got this, I got that. Oh, I can't read the Bible because I got this going on, I got this going on, I got that going on. Or I can't do whatever it is to get closer to God. We can come up with many excuses. But like I talked about in a previous video, like, you have to have the desire. And when you have the desire, you have to make sure that you stay focused and just realize that there are going to be many obstacles and distractions that come up. But with Jesus' help, you can get through it and you can get closer to Him. But just remember that you need the Holy Spirit's help to keep that focus on Jesus. And if you guys are getting closer to God and you are experiencing these obstacles, just pray to the Holy Spirit, pray to God, and trust that He will take care of everything around you, and trust that He will take care of you.